Thank you all and welcome. Again, my name is Jason Taylor, Chief Revenue Officer, USA Today, and I'm excited. I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves, but we have an incredible panel here today to talk to us about this moment in sports and culture and when they intersect and how that becomes so powerful for brands and marketing executives and brands alike. Sorry. So let's go ahead and start at the far end and introduce ourselves, please.
I'm Kameryn Stanhouse. I'm the Vice President of Sports and Entertainment globally for IBM, and we use sports to use our technology to help connect fans to their favorites, properties, athletes, and players.
Hey everyone, Ricky Engelberg. I head up sports at Maximum Effort. Maximum Effort's Ryan Reynolds holding company. Inside it, we have our agency, Maximum Effort, our film and television production company, Maximum Effort. And then we have Maximum Effort Sports, which, amongst other things, which oversees Wrexham AFC, our team in the championship and the EFL, and then the Bonds Flying Roos, our SailGP team. I mean, a bunch of investments and other things like the apparel brand Homage, and keeps us very busy. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Fischer. I'm Director of Marketing on the RITZ brand. I don't think I have as many things underneath. I've got core Ritz crackers. I've got Ritz bits, toasted chips. But I'm really happy to be here with you.
These are some tough interests. Well, Amy Ozzie, Vice President of Sponsorships at T-Mobile. I oversee everything we do across sports sponsorships, entertainment, hospitality, and events. And a lot of where our transformation has come from is really looking at how do we utilize our network connectivity across our partners to bring new experiences for fans and business-to-business operations.
Great stuff. So as you can see, we have an incredible panel. So let's dive into the first question, if we can, right here with Amy. So this Super Bowl week, this big moment in sports, this big moment in culture, the two are colliding. How do you see your brand transcend that cultural moment? And then how has that changed over the past 5 years? Like if you look at moments like this, these big moments in sports, how has your brand shown up? How should they show up? And then how does that compare to maybe pre-pandemic, if you will, or that time base?
Yeah. Every time I hear pandemic, I think of the word make good, and it just makes me not want to hear if anyone else has that reaction. But no, I think following that time in the last few years, some of the journey that we have really been on is looking at how does our network uniquely provide that value for our partners. And there's a few places and spaces I think where you see, and then we also want to position our brand as a place that's sort of in the center of culture. And I think Las Vegas Grand Prix is probably a good example for us to point to. We have been with them for 3 years since that event began. And it started with them looking at, hey, we have 300,000 people that are going to descend upon Las Vegas for a first time ever event that is going to be not only about everything happening on track, but also about everything else happening around the track, with the aspect across the celebrity factor and all of the peripheral programming and events that happen around the Las Vegas Grand Prix. So at that event, they needed a connectivity partner to power a first time event that really looked at what are all of the experiences they want fans to have and how do we help them enable all of that, plus the broadcast for those not on the ground. And so we really have worked with them not only on the baseline connectivity to make sure everyone has a strong experience, but also looking at broadcast integrations and innovative camera angles and things like that. So in addition, we also then come in and look at how do we sort of amplify the experience for our customers and look across our customers having unique experiences like a Club Magenta consumer lounge where they can have some programming before the event begins. And so we're always kind of looking at partnerships from a couple of ways, both on the technology integration side, but also looking at sort of how can we come in and provide an amplified fan experience for our customers and beyond.
So downstream, anyone else want to take a shot at that? I mean, how do you see it for your brand specifically?
Yeah, I think what's interesting, especially among this panel, is that I'm the one representing like edible food here, and I think when you consider the role that a brand like Ritz Crackers plays, we are trying to stretch our portfolio more into that savory snacking environment rather than just being considered that like classic beloved cracker of, heartwarming heritage. And I think as the brand has evolved over the last few years, sports has become really important because when you think about it, when you're watching a game, the first thing that you also want alongside you is food, is snacks. And so for us, it's not about just being there and using sports as a backdrop, but it's also how it's evolved over time is we're now participating in culture. I think in the past you just showed up for the sake of showing up, and as we've come over time, we've started, we have our ad this year. We've had a partnership with Inter Miami. We work with NCAA March Madness. Like we look at sports throughout the year because what makes more sense with sports than snacking. But over time, now that it's evolved into more of a culture driving conversation, we need to make sure we're participating. So that includes talent, boots on the ground, product sampling. Like it's become a full service 360 surround sound campaign rather than just an ad at that time. So I think it's changed a lot.
Really interesting. And we had a sneak peek at USA Today of the filming of this year's spot. So everyone watch closely. It's pretty salty.
Thank
if you. Will.
Oh, thank you.
I'm on a little bit of a different side of this, being an enterprise tech company. I mean, IBM, we use sports in two different ways. So one, to drive brand. Everybody knows who IBM is, but nobody knows what IBM does. That's a regular thing, right? I think the biggest connection point is like 3 degrees of separation. Somebody worked at IBM at some point in their life. So we're really using it as a way for people to kind of understand and touch and feel our technology. I can say that 90% of financial transactions across the world go through IBM software. Not as sexy. We build the best app in sports, the Masters app. Love that. People love that. So we're using it as a way to make a connection point so that we're not, the brand of the past, we're the brand of the future. We've been a brand, we've been in sports since the 50s. We actually worked with Ford in Le Mans in helping them develop faster solutions for their cars. But now what we're doing is really using technology, AI or hybrid cloud models to create these unique fan experiences that give fans access to their favorite sports that they may not be able to attend, right? F1, very exclusive, very expensive. Most people will probably never go to an F1 race, but we work with Ferrari and there's 400 million Tifosi fans around the world. How can we bring those fans into the Paddock Club with us through our app? They can message the drivers directly. How do we give them a unique peek at the car minutes after it's revealed through an immersive digital experience in the app? So we're using technology as a way to connect with fans and drive brand relevance, but also there's the other side of it too, right? There's the hospitality side, which we're all marketers in the room. Like our job is to drive revenue and help the stock price. So the demand side of it is huge. So how do we leverage these once in a lifetime hospitality moments to really connect with our clients, show them what's possible when you work with IBM through these sports that they love?
Love that, Kameryn. Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, we, being on the team side, Maximum Effort tries to create unique moments in culture all the time. But with Wrexham, the story of Wrexham's played out through Welcome to Wrexham. The reality is, like, a cool show of hands. Has anyone watched Welcome to Wrexham in here? All right. Would love if everyone had. But it's something where you have people like the teams in Northern Wales. It was in the 5th division we bought the team, and you have people like my mom's neighbor passionately following the team, sending me text messages at halftime of every game. And you're like, it's amazing the power of storytelling. And so then we bring the team on tour. We brought them on tour in the US. You have 1,000 people in line to meet Wayne, the bartender from the Turf, because he's now a cultural icon. And so this ability is like, but when we bring Wrexham, it's not just bring Wrexham, it's bring the whole Welcome to Wrexham experience there. Fan zones, activating through our partners with it. And we found with our partners, people like Stoke Cold Brew Coffee, they're able to take that IP of Wrexham and the fan base and take into things like the last 2 years, Stoke ran Super Bowl ads where they had Anthony Hopkins as the mascot for Wrexham. And then last year, Channing Tatum as the celebration coach for Wrexham, where again, they're like, if we're going to be a Wrexham partner, we want to use it in all aspects of sports culture for them. And then for us leaning in with our agency to go and create those. And so I think for us, we look at sports as this full 360 opportunity of storytelling, of building brands that people love and can identify with, of obviously putting a team on the field or in the water that could go and win. And we look at moments like the Super Bowl as just big canvases for that. And I think the same thing applies for any brand coming to life here. But again, the fact that the Super Bowl today, like every team, every league feels like they need to be here in some form or another, shows the power at sports bringing people together can be. So I don't know, for us, we're really lucky with Wrexham that we have such great storytelling, great culture. And how do we find partners that want to be able to go as far upstream to have that impact as possible?
Really interesting. So if I could, let's go, Amy. How does your brand find authenticity in the sports lane? Like curious about your thoughts.
Yeah. So I think, Susan, I think as you talk about this, Ricky, if you think about looking at the landscape of what's happened and like think about on-demand television and how the shift from a viewership standpoint, the place that still commands live viewership is sports, and the place that still, that appointment viewing, and if you look at sort of how that translates into sort of real life experiences, there is no replacement still for a live sporting event or live entertainment experience. But people are still craving those, whereas maybe in linear things are spread out a little bit more from an on-demand standpoint. But live sports experiences, people still want culture. They still want to not only see the competition on the field, or on the track, they also want to have the full experience. And I think whether you're on site at the event feeling that experience, or we're giving people a chance off-site at home to see what that experience is around an event. The only one might be that I was going to say there's so many now that there's experiences everywhere else except the Masters is maybe where the content is a little light. But for a good reason curated, yes. But I think long-winded way of answering, but the reason I say that is that we're trying to come in as a brand and provide ways for people to experience more than the competition. So it might be helping the broadcaster with new angles and new connectivity to power a new experience, an enhanced experience there. But it's also, how do we help fans see the rest of the experience around that event, so that they're seeing all of the other sort of elements that go into, the Las Vegas Grand Prix or the PGA Championship, or MLB All-Star Week, so that we can show people the full picture, because I think people still crave sort of that culture that comes from sports, not just like the sports itself, but also all of the things that come with it.
Spot on. Interesting. And so our RITZ brand, how do you find authenticity in this noisy space of sports?
And I think it's funny that Amy said like the culture associated with that and that experience, because for us, it's about creating an experience with our fans together with their friends and their family. And yes, of course, there are people that are watching sports on their own. My husband might be in one room watching a game, whereas I might be watching, heated rivalry lately. But most sports is watched with others, right? With your friends, with your family, coworkers, whatever. And when you think about how Ritz crackers are consumed, we over-index pretty significantly with 5 or more people around you when you eat a Ritz cracker and when you eat part of our Ritz portfolio. So for us, it's not necessarily creating experiences technologically. For us, it's more creating experiences together that feel more meaningful. And how can you do that around a product that is beloved, that helps to bring everyone together? And that's really what our spot, that airs this Sunday was all about. It was the idea that it could take even the saltiest of us, the crankiest of us, and bring us together to enjoy, time together over a cracker, which sounds kind of silly, but at the same time, I think food brings everyone together. Everyone always says that their kitchen is their favorite place in their home. And so for us, when we think, we're honest with ourselves, right? We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we also know that we can bring people together. And I think that's how we make it authentic when we've created these experiences within sports.
So I heard a stat yesterday that Ritz entered 1 million new homes after the Super Bowl last year. Pretty impressive, effective ad. So if I can take that stat and apply it to the rest of you up here on the stage, how do you measure success in your sports marketing efforts? Traditional, non-traditional?
I mean, it's interesting. So before I was at Maximum Effort, I was at Vistaprint as a CMO. We went pretty aggressive in sports. We did a jersey patch sponsorship with the Boston Celtics. And it's interesting because in a lot of cases, it was super risky, as it's a multi-year commitment with a healthy amount of money. But at the same time, we're like, sports is sports. Like the floor of sports is very high. Like, and I think plenty of CFOs are like, it's so risky. What if we just put in performance marketing? It's like, what is it, like 93 of the top 100 live broadcasts are sports broadcasts. Like, you have passionate fandom and communities and the team fan base. That you're gonna have these big moments of playoffs and championship moments and promotion moments and all these different things. And so it really comes down to, how can you actually become part of that team's community? How can you actually carve your unique lane with that and be able to actually then take that baseline and make sure you go far over it? But to me, I don't view sports as being as risky. I just think it's a measurement gap sometimes, because each team kind of exists as its own little black box. And so I think for a lot of brands, it comes down to, like, what is your scoreboard? What is the thing that matters to you? Is it pushing on brand you're proud to use? Well, some teams could give you brand proud to use. Other teams can't. The Celtics were an iconic franchise. Like, there's a transitive property. If they trust you, then I should trust this company as well. There's other franchises that are probably less about branded trust and more young, fun. I was going to say other things about the NBA trade deadline, but that's okay. And so I think a lot of it comes down, like, what is your score? But what's actually that matters to your brand? That if you win that audience, is that the victory you need, or do you already have that victory with them? And I think it's difficult. Again, every company is a different beast. Whereas like Facebook, Instagram, so it's like, this is our target. We're gonna go down the funnel. We're gonna have a ROAS of this. With sports, it does involve rolling your up sleeves to figure out how you're going to maximize the value and the impact. But that's what actually makes it awesome, is if you could truly cut through and do things amazingly impactful, you can get an A+ with that audience, with the entire sport audience, and you become famous for things. Independent of itself, I don't think any marketing works singularly. You're going to run a Super Bowl ad, but I assume you have retail marketing. I assume you have all these things lined up around it to take advantage of it. I don't think sports is a singular thing, but I don't think any marketing activity is a singular thing.
So to answer both of those questions, first, going to authenticity, I feel like that I'm so fortunate that whenever they started the sports and entertainment sector, everything was about authenticity. The first conversation we have when we think about any potential partner is, what's the tech solution that you need that only IBM can provide? So we're not a company that puts logos on a shirt. We're a company that is deep, sitting around the clock with our clients, designing, developing, and delivering their technology stack, their app, their solutions, to ensure that they live up to our standards, but they're a living, breathing case study of what we can do for them. And so on the measurement side, we look at measure in a couple of ways, right? There's the brand side, which you can look at metrics there. There's the demand side, which is all of the pipeline coming out of it. But also we have the benefit of knowing the stats in our app, right? Wimbledon, we've been a 35-year partner of theirs now. Engagement in the app was up 18% last year. Ferrari, we just launched the app with them very, very quickly last year. We saw engagement up 20%, and we're seeing increased users to the app. So using the technology to really learn about these audiences and creating new and meaningful ways for them to engage, we can measure that by looking at how much time they're actually spending in the app. And AI is a big part of that too. I think that's one of the things everyone's talking about is trepidation around AI, and people are nervous to use it. Sports is the one vehicle where there aren't nerves. We do a survey every year with Morning Consult looking at feelings and attitudes around AI, and 85% are comfortable with it in sports specifically, especially in tennis. And so tennis is a great example of this. US Open, we're a partner of. Every single point of a tennis match, there's 156 data points. If you look at that over the course of the entire tournament, it's 7 million data points. And so we're taking that, leveraging AI and being able to give pre-match projections and then live likelihood to win updates to show who is more likely to win a match based on using all of these structured and unstructured data sources. So there's a lot of different ways that we measure it, but it's such a rich storytelling for technology, storytelling opportunity for technology that it really just gets me excited. The potential is unknown. And we talk about AI and everyone's like, what's the future of sports? Like, we're looking at how we pull quantum in, which if we pull this off, I would say hopefully next year I'm talking about our quantum use case and how we're, setting a new frontier for sports. So for me, authenticity is key, but it's also the core of everything we do. And then measurement is really just making sure that our technology is engaging those people in the right way and being able to see it in the app.
So back to RITZ, if I can, how do you extend the value of past the Super Bowl itself? How do you extend the value of your marketing past that moment of the Super Bowl commercial?
I think everyone in the room can agree with me that buying a Super Bowl ad is just a little bit expensive, right? And we recognize that. And I think as marketers, and there's a few of us in the room today, like, we take that spend very seriously. And we also understand what the spend on Super Bowl does and how it impacts the rest of the entire Mondelēz portfolio. If RITZ is getting the spend, that means Oreo doesn't get that spend, and we need to shift things around. And what that means is we sure as hell better make the spend worthwhile, right? So I think ways that we do that is it's through the surround sound marketing that I was mentioning earlier. Yes, it's in store. We'd be crazy not to do in-store displays around this time. And hopefully some folks have gone to a couple grocery stores nearby, and we have these gorgeous displays that are featuring RITZ and other savory products that are also front and center in store, oversized, bringing people in. But it's also incremental content that's surrounding the spot. We have the spot that will run from now through all the way through June. We've got 6s, we've got 15s, we've got social media content. So I had, I think, a 10-hour shoot with that talent, and I squeeze the crap out of that shoot because I know that content is so important to driving relevancy, excitement from our fans, and also bring in people who might not have been shopping for RITZ as of late. So I think for us, we need to use the money really wisely. We need to expand the content triple fold. And then to answer your question about measurement, I think for us, it's looking at two different types of measurement. One, commercially, is it driving the business forward? Is it bringing in another 1 million households? Which, by the way, is quite freaking hard when you think about 1 million households that hadn't been purchasing RITZ the prior year. So are we driving sales increases? Are we driving volume? Are we driving share? Are we growing faster than the category? Are we bringing in new households? And then from a commercial, a comms point of view, all of this is done in order to drive cultural relevance for the brand. RITZ is 90 plus years old. If you're not staying relevant with today's younger consumer, then you're not doing your job. And so when we looked at the program from last year, not only did we drive really great business results, we actually also saw increases in brand equity we hadn't seen like that in years. We were showing consumers thought of us as a more modern brand, like ding, ding, ding. People saw us as a more meaningful brand. They thought of us as top of mind more often. They saw us as a differentiated brand. We were seeing increases we hadn't seen in over 3 years. So for us, I think it's twofold. Are we, of course, driving the business forward, but are we changing the perceptions of the brand in consumers' hearts and minds? And if you're not currently buying RITZ now, part of the reason why we come into these sporting moments is to make sure that we're encouraging them to at least put us in the top of their consideration set going forward.
So we'd love to hear the same for T-Mobile. Like, how do you extend past that Grand Prix or what have you?
Yeah, I think so when we look at sort of where we get unique value and what we're measuring to sort of start there, T-Mobile itself does not have an awareness problem. Like, as a company, we have a very strong awareness, but I think where we can always continue to do better is to show customers and prospects sort of the opportunity around what do they get as part of being a T-Mobile customer. So what is the value, the network experiences, and then the other benefits and experiences that we provide. That's the area where we like to leverage these partnerships to sort of really uniquely showcase the sort of in real life version of all of the great streaming benefits they get, all the great travel benefits, all of the great T-Mobile Tuesdays benefits they get through our loyalty program. And how do we translate that into these moments so people understand when they're stepping into a Club Magenta, for example, at one of our major events, they're going to get meet and greets, they're going to get, premium food and beverage. And it's just sort of this in real life display of how we like to treat our customers. And so I think as we look to measure, there's all of the brand trackers that, hopefully help guide us and show us, like, do they understand that T-Mobile provides more perks and benefits as a customer? But if we sort of stay close to trying to model and improve that experience, then we feel like that's sort of like a roadmap to success to show people that enhanced network experience, but also all of those benefits that we can deliver as part of them.
Great. Interesting. So in essence of time, going to do a quick rapid fire. Would love for each of you one sentence on what do you think is the biggest opportunity that brands are sleeping on today? Throwing you for a curve. What is the biggest opportunity you see that brands are sleeping on? Anybody? Go ahead.
I think for me, it's being nimble in culture. I would love to be as nimble as like Liquid Death is today or Duolingo. Like, I think they're pushing the boundaries. They're doing it in a really nimble, very low cost, at least I imagine we could talk to those marketers, low cost sort of way. But how do you stay like top of mind in a really clever way that's going to gather attention very quickly, and they constantly do it, and they're constantly surprising us. So I think we should all be doing a little bit of that more often than necessarily these like long-term massive programs that take so much work that goes into them. They all have a role in the marketing funnel, but that's what I would say.
Good answer.
I think just continuing to lean into the cross section of sports and entertainment. I think we're seeing, especially over the last couple of years, we're just seeing more and more of it going beyond, again, the sport that's on the field that day. Entertainment. There's such a respect across lines for artists, athletes, and such an opportunity to just continue to push those boundaries and bring those areas together in more ways.
Ricky?
I think increasingly, not to be AI for too much, it's like 80 to 90% of it's all going to become interchangeable. So if you're not trying to do awesome things, then you're going to become increasingly interchangeable. And I think so many companies, it's interesting. Like we have a lot of ideas that are really cool, that they're great on Monday, they're great on Tuesday, they're good on Wednesday, they're obsolete by Thursday. And if you can't say yes on Monday, then don't say yes on Thursday. And I think, how do you move fast, be nimble, but also how do you make bets for things you can become famous for? No one's becoming famous because of their retargeting ads. And I think that's something that that ability for someone to figure out your operating system, how to be famous, that then powers what you're able to say, be nimble and say yes to, gives you a lot of chance to make your brand be very, very meaningful. And I think sports, entertainment, culture all play a lot of roles in those things. And I think so many people get stuck in this loop that their operating system is about ultimately optimization versus awesomeness.
Nimble is a nice thing. I have 290,000 employees in my company, so nimble is tough for us. Say it's a couple months to get through procurement, but I think one of the big things that brands are sleeping on is not valuing and maximizing the potential of the assets that they have. I work with a lot of partners and see a lot of partners that, do logo slaps, which is great. And they maybe just do hospitality, but not thinking full funnel about the opportunity and what they're paying for. Our investments are significant to get into any of these things. And so making sure that you're using every single ticket, that you're using every opportunity to tell a story and to reach new fans and customers, like that to me is one of the great tragedies of our industry.
So folks, you heard it here. 4 great pieces of advice just thrown in at the end. Again, let's give a round of applause to this panel. Incredible work, incredible ideation, and just thank you for your time today. Thank you all.